The second thing that you were supposed to do was to jettison the hatch before you hit the water so you could get your life raft out, which was stored on the top of the Bombay in back of you. The way you jettison the hatch is to pull a red handle, which is up above you, and which connected to 4 steel cables, which went back to the 4 pins that held the cockpit canopy in place. And when you pull this red handle, it's supposed to pull all those pins, and the canopy goes harmlessly back, hopefully, over your airplane. Just before I hit the water, I reached up and pulled this handle, and it slid right off of these steel cables. Somebody had not set this set screw, evidently, or something. Anyway, it was a complete malfunction, and the canopy stayed in place, and about that time I hit the water. Now, they had told us that when you hit the water, you should brace yourself for a double impact. And so I hit the water, and it seemed like a pretty hard impact, and I thought, well, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was. However, that was the first impact. The second impact, which came just seconds later, was like running into a brick wall at 150 miles an hour. It was incredible. It's something you can't describe, but it requires that you have your seat belt and your shoulder harness and everything be tight and in place, and you still feel like you're very vulnerable. All this happened, and the cockpit immediately began to fill with water, just almost at the same time of the impact. And so I not only couldn't open the canopy by the handle, but I had no idea what had happened. I had no feeling. I had to just feel around for the atmosphere, and finally I found a hole, an opening. I got out of my harness and parachute and swam out through a hole. I'll never know how it opened up, but it did when I hit, I guess. And I swam around and climbed up on the wing of the... I thought when I saw those pictures of that airplane landing in the Hudson in New York, that reminded me of standing on the wing, because this is something you didn't normally do. This is something that would destroy the wing or cripple the wing if you did it when the plane was standing out on the land. But in the water, it was okay to stand on the wing. And then I began to wonder, where's my gunner? Where's Eddie?
Where's Eddie?
And I thought, I probably ought to dive down and go in that hatch and look for him. And about that time, fortunately, I didn't make that decision, because he bobbed up. I guess he had gotten his act together and got out himself, and he climbed up on the wing with me. And then, what seemed like a couple of minutes, but probably was only a matter of seconds, we said, well, if this airplane goes down, we don't want to be taken down with it. Maybe we ought to get off. So we jumped in the water and swam away from the plane, and almost immediately, it seemed, it nosed down and sunk out of sight in the water. So it must have been fairly deep there. And there we were swimming around, and we tried at that point to inflate our Mae West, but unbeknownst to us, somebody had taken all the CO2 cartridges out of the Mae West, which are supposed to inflate them. So when you pull the card to inflate them, nothing happened. So we had to blow them up by hand. But that was a small price to pay for having a life preserver on. And then we paddled around, hoping that we were taking the right direction for shore. and not really being able to see the shore from the being down in the water like that. We couldn't have done that for very long, and all of a sudden we heard a very welcome sound of a U.S. Navy Weasel. This was an amphibious truck which was unloading cargo from planes in the harbor to the Lehti shore, and they had seen the airplane go down, fortunately for us, and came over to investigate to see if there was any sign of survivors or anything else.